Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
In today's podcast, we're covering the animated movie Ice Age.
Now, this blue sky film has grown a huge cult following over the years, and it all starts with a mammoth, sloth, and a saber-toothed tiger traveling across the country to return a human baby to its tribe.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, click notification we'll do some future podcasts and we'll pause video.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
I remember when this movie came out. It actually came out in 2002.
Yes, that far back.
And this was an unexpected hit.
Yeah.
It was unlike anything that had ever been put out before. Directed by Chris Wedge, screenplay by Michael Berg, Michael J. Wilson, and Peter Ackerman. And it was based on a story by Michael J. Wilson, produced by Laura Forte. So it was unlike, again, anything that had ever been out there. 20th Century Fox at that time took a chance on this movie because it was originally intended as a 2D animated film by Fox Animation Studios.
Oh wow, imagine how that would have looked.
But eventually became the first full-length animated film for the newly formed Blue Sky.
Wow, okay, so this was their first movie.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this one, pretty much everyone we know online knows this movie, has watched it and loved it. I know it's Isaiah Garza's one of his favorite movies ever because of all the prehistoric animals and just the humor in it and everything. And a lot of the stuff in this movie has become memes and things years later. And when you watch it and you know, if you've seen like the whole franchise and what it's kind of become now, especially with Blue Sky now being gone and bought out by Disney, you kind of realize Ice Age was actually a pretty deep movie in the beginning. It had a bit of a darker tone, especially with them having humans in here. And then it looked like as the movies went on, it started losing its edge and it started being really silly, like crazy, really out there. I mean, the last movie had them fighting a meteor coming to Earth. It's like, alright, you're really pushing it. But with this, it was really simple. Just return a lost human baby to his human tribe. That's it. And
the main cast, Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Leary.
Yes.
Again, 3 live action actors who hadn't done VA animated voices.
Right.
But later on, I'll mention the ones who were actually VA stars.
Right.
That contributed to the movie as well.
Right. And you know John Leguizamo, he was Sid before he became Bruno.
Yes.
So for this, yeah, the story was actually really entertaining. It was one of those cross-country type movies, but instead of humans, you got the animal and a baby.
And it wasn't long running. It was 81 minutes.
Yeah, it seemed like it was much longer, but not because it dragged out. It's because you were so
entertained.
You're right. It felt like you were watching a much longer journey. And you also find out, you know, why Manny didn't like humans, period, or why he had this aggressive behavior all the time. You know, he didn't want to be bothered. He was always really grouchy all the time. Then you see why. Then you actually do understand. It actually had a bit of a sadness in it. Yeah. And it seems like almost a whole different franchise by the time you got to the 5th one. I mean, it really has some
They should have never gotten the 5. I'm sorry.
Right, it's too many. No,
after
6!
The third
6!
After the 3rd one, they should have stopped.
That's what I kind of thought was going to be maybe a trilogy, and then they stopped. But then they had Continental Drift. Was like, okay, pirates. And then the 5th one, meteors coming to Earth. What? The 6th one, Buck Wild. Alright, stop. Please stop. And a lot of people have been beginning to say this, like, it's really losing its steam now because it's beginning to have plots that don't make sense to Ice Age just really being silly and crazy. And we don't mind silly and crazy and fun stuff, but you've already established how this world is and the heart of it. And then you kind of just veer off into obscurity. In fact, you don't even see the humans anymore.
Right.
After the first one, you thought, okay, maybe the second one's just all about the animals, and then the humans are somewhere else and they move. No, they just kind of forget about the humans altogether. And they claim that if they did another movie, they would go back to the writers and the stuff for the first film because they had seen it gotten really wonky by the fifth or 6th one. So they said, like, if they did another movie or a spin-off or something, it would be more like the original, where it had a little more action, more drama, more quiet moments, and it would tone it down. But after Disney bought it, they escalated up to 11 with the Buck Wild movie. So it just kind of makes you appreciate the first movie more, whether you own it or you've just seen it.
Absolutely, and we own it. We actually own the first three.
Yes.
Now, this movie had a budget of $59 million, which was a lot in 2002, but it grossed over $383 million at the box office worldwide.
Wow, yeah.
So for then, it did a fantastic performance. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that during that time, the three people who were the stars in it were famous live-action stars.
Yeah.
Romano was a television star. Dennis Leary had done television and movies, and John Leguizamo was famous for movies. So they banked on getting some well-known stars for the main characters. But you also had Jack Black as Zeke.
Yes.
And you had Goran Visnjic, who I know you don't know who he is, but I know from other movies, and he's a hottie. He was in too. You had Cedric the Entertainer. You had Stephen Root from
King of the Hill.
Dietrich Bader as Batman and other DC characters.
Right.
Alan Tudyk,
who's known for just about anything at this point.
and of course the incomparable Tara Strong.
Yes.
So they had three heavy hitter live action stars do animated voices, and then the rest were supporters from ones who had a history of doing VA animation.
Right.
So it was brilliant the way it was set up, and it was great as a first project for Blue Sky because it put it on the map and it put it in the ring as a serious contender of being a studio that could churn out successful movies.
Right. And another thing that stands out with the characters, it seemed like more like some of the movies now where they just have some animals be the stars, some little kids, and then there's something to keep them quiet for a little bit. But when you watch it, they aren't just, they're just a mammoth, it's a sloth, it's a tiger. It's just going to be some basic things and nothing else. And they did not do that. They actually had more depth to them. Like we said earlier, for Manny, yeah, he seems like he's just a grouch all the time, but you find out why and you empathize. For Diego, you know he's, I guess you could say, the Ice Age trader instead of UA trader, and he has a change of heart by the end of the movie. Sid tags along with them because he was left by himself. His family couldn't stand him, so they keep leaving him behind all the time, so he went with someone else. And it wasn't just some basic standard tropes or one trait is their whole personality.
Right.
They actually have more to them, and they sort of become their own little family along the way. And it's really well done, and the animation isn't bad. I mean, it's not like it's Kung Fu Panda level, but it was still pretty good animation for being 3D at the time when it was still kind of new. And there's just so much about it that really stands out that you're looking to a lot of these older films like this to see a lot of what you're missing. And of course you can't forget Scrat.
Right.
You have a Scrat who was always in every movie trying to put his acorn somewhere. And always breaking something, causing avalanches, breaking icebergs. Like, just eat it!
And that was a wonderful skit every single time. They would have an extra skit in the bonus features.
Right.
Where you got to see more of this crazy character.
Right.
Now, I want to mention something about voice casting that I looked at online, and it says that actually a lot of the lines in the film were improvised.
Really?
They wanted them to make up their own dialogue. And then for Manny, they actually were looking for people with big voices. They originally had considered James Earl Jones and Bing Rames Cobra Bubbles.
Wow!
But they said it sounded too obvious and they were really too deep. And they thought that they were so familiar it may affect the impression that they wanted.
Right.
And so they gave it to Ray Romano because they thought his voice sounded elephant-like. I don't know how to make up that.
I don't know how, yeah.
And John Leguizamo had tried out over 40 different ways of voicing Sid before he settled on the one that we've become familiar with. So I thought that was really interesting.
Right.
Because you just thought, okay, bam, they were doing, but no.
No.
Imagine
Like
Ray
your
Romano
process.
being voiced by, Ray Romano. Manny being voiced by James Earl Jones.
And you
or
just
Bing
hear
Rames. It'll have a whole
you would just heard
effect.
all you were hearing was either Mufasa or Cobra Bubbles, and you would stop seeing Manny.
Right.
And it's just wait, that's what I was getting to. With Scrat, I mean, it was one of the funniest parts of the franchise. Even when the movie started to get a little less creative as it went on, the one thing you always made you laugh was Scrat's escapades with the dang acorn. And it was just like, how is this acorn not disintegrated after all the stuff he's been through, years passing, and it's still intact? Well, they found a solution to that, like when they announced that Blue Sky was going to be defunct and Disney had bought it out. Blue Sky made two last things. They made Scrat Tales, which was a short series about Scrat and a son he found out about from the third movie, if you've seen that one. And then a mini video that showed, he was trying to hide his acorn one more time, and then he looked and realized he can't fit it anywhere. So after 20 years, he ate the acorn and finally rested.
It shouldn't have been any good by then.
Right? It's like
like dust when he cried.
Right. Yeah, like he ate it, yeah, and then he was done. That was like the end of an era for Ice Age, and for Blue Sky, the acorn was gone, so Scrat was finished along with this franchise. So
it's so sad because you miss Blue Sky and the beautiful movies they put out, and when Disney bought it, you still don't understand why they shut it down. To them, I guess it made good businesses since they have Pixar, but look what they've done with Pixar. Pixar's no longer Pixar, they're making movies you don't even associate with them. And then Blue Sky was its own entity where they should have kept it, so they could have kept making the type of movies where Blue Sky's known for and we love. They could have made one movie a year, we would have been happy with that. One movie a year, one movie every other year. But to sit and dismantle it and destroy it, I guess we're just lucky and blessed we still have the movies on DVD.
Right, absolutely. And one more thing to bring up about the film is that it should be even more appreciated now than ever. With Blue Sky gone, franchise really over because the Buck Wild movie is so bad that people didn't consider it canon because it was just that terribly written from the start.
We actually began it.
Yeah, it's such a far cry from what the original was. And even the last movie they did before this is a far cry from it.
But we did finish that one.
Right.
The Buck Wild was like, no.
It makes you appreciate the movie even more. Because I do remember the few times we saw them, and we actually first saw it years ago and got the DVD. And if you have the 2-disc set, you get a Papa John's pizza ad on one of the backs of the disc. I think it's hilarious. I actually do remember we had some pizza when we watched the movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't Papa John's, but it was some other one, maybe Domino's or something. But it's one of those movies you really want to watch with your family or your friends. It's one of the best movies you could see ever, and it's an unexpected one.
Absolutely. So if you've seen this gem, Ice Age, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it as much as we did? Do you own it? Do you think they should have kept going after 3? Let us know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, it's available on the streaming service to watch.
Right. I think Disney Plus now.
And
yeah.
you can buy it anywhere still. Thank goodness. So if this is something you want to be able to watch later, I suggest you buy it up before Disney decides to take all of this stuff out of circulation.
Right.
And let us know what you think.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos of your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us and allowing us to share our joy with you. You make us happy. Thank you so much for your support.
Right. And thank you so much for watching once again.
Yes.
I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.